Notice, this book is produced in Daisy Digital Talking Book, Daisy Text only, and in print format for people with bona fide print disability by V4U. This book is created for special distribution for the print disabled in accordance with Section 52 Clause 1 Sub-Clause ZB of the Copyright Act of India as amended in 2012. The Daisy Digital Talking Book, Daisy Text only, Braille book is permitted to be used only by persons with print disabilities. Any further reproduction, distribution to any person without a print disability or any commercial use of this book is strictly prohibited and will be subject to a legal action.
Invitation to English 4. Chapter 1. Countable and uncountable noun. Section 1. Studying the following dialogue. Mother, we have run out of rice, flour, butter and a few other things. Father, all right, I will make a shopping list. Let me get a piece of paper and a pen. Now we need some sugar, tea and milk, right? You also need 10 cloths of rice and half a liter of cooking oil. Anything else? Can you pick out the nouns in the dialogue above? These nouns can be divided into two groups. Nouns such as list, piece, pen, kilo, etc. are called countable noun. When nouns such as rice, flour, butter, paper, sugar, milk, etc. are called uncountable noun. Countable nouns refer to things that can be counted and they have singular as well as plural form. For example, a pen or two pen, a piece or 10 pieces, etc. Uncountable nouns such as rice, sugar, milk, etc. refer to things that cannot be counted although some of them can be measured. Bracket in kilogram, liters, etc. Bracket in. Usually uncountable nouns do not take plural forms such as rices, sugar, etc. although in some special cases, which will explain later, they can take plural form. Bracket. Example, sugars, teas, etc. Bracket in. We can use numbers, bracket 1, 2, 3, etc. bracket in with countable nouns and say things like 1 pen, 2 pens, etc. But we cannot use numbers with uncountable noun, that is, we cannot say things like 1 milk, 2 milk, etc. Also, we can use the indefinite article, bracket a or an, bracket n, with countable noun, bracket, example, a pen, an egg, etc., bracket n, but not with uncountable noun. Usually, we cannot say things like a rice, a sugar, etc., although this is possible in some special cases, which we'll deal with later. Generally, quantifiers such as some, a little, a lot of, etc., are used with uncountable nouns. For example, first, my friend gave me some rice. Second, can you borrow a little sugar from our neighbor? In sentences such as this, it is necessary to use a quantifier before the uncountable noun because the meaning expressed is a certain quantity of something. But in some other context, we can use uncountable nouns without quantity. For example, third, I prefer tea to coffee. 4. People suffering from diabetes should avoid sugar. Here, we are referring to tea, coffee and sugar in general and not in any particular quantity. We do not therefore use a quantifier. We will have more to say on the quantifier later. Any good dictionary of English such as the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary will tell you whether a noun is countable or uncountable. It is important to know this because unless we know whether a noun is countable or uncountable, we may not be able to use it correctly in a sentence. Section 2. Read the dialogue below. Wife, what did you buy in the market? Husband, I bought a bottle of milk, a packet of washing powder, and a tube of toothpaste. Wife, what about the bar of chocolate I asked you to buy? Husband, oh dear, I completely forgot. Look at the expression a bottle of milk, a packet of washing powder, and a tube of toothpaste. Each contains an uncountable noun, bracket, milk, washing powder, and toothpaste, bracket in. We told you earlier that the indefinite article or number cannot be used with uncountable noun. Bracket, we cannot say milk or two milk, bracket in. Sometimes, however, we may need to talk about an uncountable thing. bracket example, milk, water, bread, bracket in, as if it could be counted. In English, there are certain fixed expressions which are used to refer to unit of such countable things. For example, a bottle of milk, a bar of chocolate, a stick of chalk, etc. It is to know which of these units can be used appropriately with a countable noun. Section 3. Nouns which can be countable as well as uncountable. Look at the sentence below. First, A. Our science teacher wrote a paper on the effects of the cyclone. B. Books are printed on paper. Second, yesterday I bought an iron. Iron is stronger than wood. Look at the use of paper and iron in the above example. They are used both as countable and uncountable nouns with different meanings. When paper and iron are used as countable nouns, they refer to particular object. But when they are used as uncountable nouns, they prefer to use material or substance. Several other nouns can be used in this way. Here are some examples. 3. A. Could I have a glass of water? B. Glass is brittle. 4. A. Our journey to Badrinath was a wonderful experience. B. He has enough experience for the job. 5. A. The boy ate a whole chicken. B. Would you like some more chicken? 6. A. The old man had a boiled egg for breakfast. B. There's egg on your face. 7. A. The boy picked up a stone and threw it at the leopard. B. They used stone to build their houses. Some uncountable nouns can be used in special cases as countable noun without any change in meaning. Look at the following example. 8. A tea is grown in Darjeeling. B. This shop sells tea from different parts of India. C. I have just bought a new tea from the Nilgiris. In sentence A, tea is used as an uncountable noun and it refers to a substance. In sentence B and C, tea is used with the same meaning, but now it is used as an countable noun. Here, tea means different kind of tea and a tea means a certain kind of tea. Here are some more examples of uncountable noun becoming countable with the meaning different kinds of a certain substance. A. The best woods are produced in Assam. B. I have ordered 3 new cement from the factories in Gujarat. Food and drink as countable. Words which refer to food and drinks are ordinarily treated as uncountable nouns. For example, first, could I have some more bread? Second, I would like to borrow a handful of rice. Third, I drink milk in the morning and tea in the afternoon. 4. Would you like me to make a cup of tea for you? However, when ordering food or drink in a restaurant, we often use these nouns as countable. For example, 5. Get us 2 teas, 1 coffee and 2 ice creams. 2 teas is used here as a kind of shorthand for 2 cups of tea. Section 4. More on quantifiers. First, much, many, a lot of, little, few. Look at the sentence below. A. First, I don't find much time to work in the garden. Second, is there much water in the river? Third, does he have many books in his personal library? 4. He doesn't have many shirts. 5. They have got a lot of money. 6. There is lots of rice left. 7. The mechanic repairs a lot of cars every day. 7. He has borrowed lots of books from the college library. The quantifier much is normally used with uncountable noun, while many is used with the plural countable nouns. The quantifier a lot of and lots of can be used with countable as well as uncountable nouns. Second, few, a few, little, a little. Look at the sentence below. A. He isn't very fond of book. He has only a few books at home. B. This is a difficult book to read. I have had to look up quite a few words in the dictionary. C. If what you say is true, there is little we can do about it. D. I can give you an opinion now. I need a little time to think. Few and a few are used with plural count nouns, while little and little are used with uncountable noun. Few and little carry negative meanings. Few means almost none, and little means almost nothing. A few and a little, on the other hand, carry positive nouns. A few means a small number, and a little means a small amount. Section 5. The articles a or an and the. Study the following example. A. I met a beggar and an orphan. I didn't like the beggar much, but the orphan was very nice. B. My brother wrote a novel and a play. I found the novel very interesting, but the play was boring. We use a or an with a countable noun where the listener or reader doesn't know exactly which person or thing we are referring to. Such a situation arises when a person or thing is mentioned for the first time in writing or in speech. The use of a and an in the above example illustrates this. We use the when the listener or reader know exactly who or what we are referring to. Such a situation arises when a person or thing which has already been referred to is mentioned again for a second or third time. The above example shows this. Section 6. More on the indefinite article a or an. Look at the following sentence. My friend is a doctor. He was born in America but now he lives in a small village in a tribal district of Odisha. He works in a hospital attached to a Catholic church. A or an is used before count nouns such as doctor, village, hospital, etc., as we are referring to people and things that are indefinite. We are not talking about any particular doctor, village, or hospital. Section 7. The definite article, the. Study the following sentences. A. My uncle bought the house next to the post office. B. We are not keen on meeting the people next door. C. He works in the garage opposite our house. D. The boy I met at the railway station last night is going to America on a scholarship. In each of the sentences above, the word in italic tell us something about the noun that comes just before them. They help us to identify the person, thing, or places which are being referred to. For example, in sentence, the words next to the post office tell us exactly which house the speaker is talking about. The definite article, the, has therefore been used before each of these nouns. Section 8. The definite articles used for unique reference. Make the use of the in the following sentences. A. The moon goes round the earth and the earth goes round the sun. B. Which is the longest bridge in the world? C. No one can predict the end of the universe. We use the when, referring to something which is unique. Bracket the only one kind of its kind. Bracket n. For example, the sun, the earth, the longest bridge, the universe, etc. Section 9. Look at the use of the in the passage below. When we got home, everyone seemed too busy. Brother was working in the garden, father was reading the newspaper in the living room, mother was making tea in the kitchen, sister was playing with her friend on the terrace. The definite article, the, is used here because the context makes it clear that a reference is being made to a particular object or place. Usually, a home has only one garden, one living room, one kitchen, and one terrace. Moreover, the head of a family usually subscribes to a single newspaper which is read every day. Hence, there can be no doubt about the garden, living room, kitchen, etc. being referred to. That is why the definite article, the, is used. Section 10. Place names with and without the. We normally use the with the following. A. Seas and ocean. The Pacific, the Mediterranean. B. River, the Mahanadi, the Brahmani. C. Canals, the Suez Canal, the Panama Canal. D. Desert, the Sahara, the Thar. E. Iceland Group, the West Indies, the Canaries. F. Hotel cinemas, the Grand Hotel, the Metro Cinema. G. Museum clubs, the Salarchang Museum, the Saturday Club. H. Restaurants, pub, the Sultan Cafe, the Swan. We do not normally use the with the following. A. Continent, Europe, Asia, Africa. B. Countries and state, India, China, Odisha. C. Cities, towns and villages, Delhi, Bhubaneswar, Astarang. D. Individual island, Long Island. E. Lakes, Lake Chilika, Lake Ansupa, F. Individual mountains, Mount Everest. G. Street and road, College Street, Lewis Road. We use the with place names when they include a count noun example Union, Republic, State, Kingdom, Isle, the Soviet Union, the United States, the United Kingdom. We also use the with plural place name example the Netherlands, the West Indies. We use the before place name containing of the University Delhi, the Bank of India, the Statue of Liberty. Section 11. Compare the sentence in each of the following pairs. First, A. My sister goes to school every morning. B. Mira's father went to the school to meet the headmaster. Second, A. He has passed the school final examination and will go to the college in July. B. The new cinema hall is very near the college. 3a. The injured person have been sent to hospital. B. The hospital was badly damaged by the cyclone. In sentence 1a, 2a, 3a, the countable nouns school, colleges, and hospital has been used without the definite article, the. Whereas in sentence 1b, 2b, and 3b, the definite article has been used. In sentence 1a, 2a, and 3a, school, college, and hospital have the meaning of a special institution, where one goes for a particular purpose. Going to school or going to college means going to an educational institution for the purpose of studying. Similarly, going to hospital means going to a medical institution for the purpose of treatment. But in sentence 1b, 2b, and 3b, the school, the college, and the hospital refer only to the building or the place where an institution is located. Bracket, any visitor can go to a school building not necessary for the purpose of studying. Only a few nouns can be used in this way without the. The most common ones are school, college, university, hospital, church, market. Please note that office cannot be used in the same way without the. Notice the following examples as well. 5. He goes to work at 10. 6. He will be at home this evening. Work and home in these examples have special meaning, somewhat similar to the meanings of school, hospital, etc. in sentence 1a and 3a above. They are therefore used without the. When we use the noun car, bus, train as modes of travel, they are used without the. For example, we can go to Calcutta by car, bus, or train. We do not normally use article with the names of meal. For example, 8. I usually have breakfast at 8. 9. They like to have dinner early. However, the indefinite article an is used when there is an adjective before breakfast, lunch, dinner, etc. For example, 10. We had a hearty breakfast yesterday. The definite article the is used when referring to a particular meal. For example, 11. I missed the dinner at the guest house last night. Invitation to English 4, Chapter 2. Tense pattern. Unit 1. The present simple and the present progressive. Section 1. Look at the following sentences. A. Satish, what are you doing? Manish, I am writing a letter to my friend. I write to him every Sunday. B. I don't understand why my dog is barking at you this morning. He usually keeps quiet. C. You always behave very gently. Why are you acting in such a violent manner now? What do these sentences tell us about the use of the present simple and present progressive form of verbs? The present simple is used here to describe persons and things in their normal or usual state, or to talk about some activity that takes place habitually or regularly. The present progressive, on the other hand, is used to talk about some activity that is going on now, at the moment of speaking. Section 2. Examine the following sentences. A. We usually have a football match in our village every Sunday, but this Sunday we aren't having any matches. B. He usually avoids going to the library, but he is going there regularly this month as he is preparing for an exam. The use of the present progressive in these examples indicate that some activity is going on and that it extends over a period of time including now. Expressions such as nowadays, this month, these days, etc. are used to refer to the period of time during which the activity takes place. It is understood, however, that the activity which is taking place in only temporary. It is not normal or permanent. In this sense, the present progressive differ from the present simple, which refers to a relatively permanent activity or state. Section 3. Verbs that do not normally take the progressive form. Examine the pairs of sentences below. A. I like fish. Second, I am liking fish. B. First, he feels very happy. Second, he is feeling the heat now. C. First, sugar tastes sweet. Second, the sugar in the market is tasting less sweet these days. One sentence each pair is very unusual. Can you identify it? Why is it unusual? There are a number of verbs in English which do not ordinarily take the progressive form. The following is a list of such verbs: like, love, hate, want, need, prefer, know, realize, suppose, mean, understand, believe, remember, belong, contain, consist, depend, seem, etc. These are known as stative verbs. They refer to some station, bracket, condition, quality, etc. of a person or thing, bracket n, which usually remains steady and doesn't change. Such verbs are mostly used in the present simple. However, we can make some of the verbs dynamic or action oriented. In the dynamic use, the verbs refer to some action rather than to a steady state. And now they can take the progressive form. Unit 2. The present perfect. Section 1. Examine the use of the present perfect in the following sentences. A. First, where is your TV set? I don't see it. Second, I have sold it. B. First, why are you looking so happy? Second, I have just got a job. In this example, the second speaker talks about some event which happened earlier before the moment of speaking. But seconds is the time at which this event took place as a part of the present connected to it and not as a part of the past. Section 2. Look at the sentences below. First, Hari didn't have a beard 6 months ago. He has a beard now. He has grown a beard. Second, Malati was very shy. She is smart now. She has become smart. Third, he was a little baby when I last saw her. She is a young girl now. She has grown up. Here, the present perfect tells us about some change that had taken place between now and some time before now. Section 3. The present lady is often used with the following times expression: lately, not yet, recently, in recent years, until now, never, just, already, ever, always, so far, since 1990, for 5 years, over the last 8 years, in the past 2 years. What do you think could be the basis of their use with the present perfect? Hint: time expression referring to time which is past, such as last year, 2 years ago, yesterday, etc., cannot be used with the present perfect. Unit 3. Past simple. Section 1. Read the passage below carefully. Ramesh was born in Baleswar in 1960. He was brought up in Cuttack by his uncle because his parents were in Bangalore. Then he went to Hyderabad to complete his studies. He got a first-class MSc degree in physics and became a lecturer in a college in Odisha. In 1985, he joined a university but soon went to the USA on a scholarship. He came back in 1990 and got married. He bought a house in Bhubaneswar in 1993. Make the verb forms used in the above passage and also look at the time expression that go with him. Unit 4. Present perfect and past simple. Study the dialogue given below. Sushant: have you ever ridden a horse? Subir: yes, I have. Sushant: when was that? Subir: I rode one last summer. Sushant: what was it like? Subir: oh, it was awful. Sushant: why? What happened? Subir: I felt up and hurt my back. Identify the present perfect and past simple verb in the dialogue above and notice their use carefully. How are they different in meaning? Hint: one of them answers the question when and those doesn't. Unit 5. Past simple and past progressive. Section 1. Study the sentences below. A. It started to rain while we were walking home. B. My sister was tidying my room when I saw your letter. C. Anita was walking along the road when suddenly she heard footsteps behind her. Someone was following her. She was frightened and she started to run. What do you think the use of the past simple and the past progressive indicate in these sentences? Hint. Think of a duration of time in the past and a point of time within that duration. Unit 6. The past simple and the past perfect. Section 1. Look at the sentences below. A. I reached the hostel in the morning and found that somebody had broken into my room during the night. B. She said that her friend had published a book. C. He had left his town when I came to live here. Can you find the past perfect tense in each sentence? Note that the sentence in which it occurs refers to two actions, the action expressed by the past perfect and another action expressed by the past simple. Of the two actions, which takes place earlier and which takes place later. Unit 7. Future time reference. Section 1. The present progressive used for future reference. Study the dialogue below. A. What are you doing tomorrow evening? B. I am going to the town hall. My friends are coming. We are putting up a show for the handicapped. We are also meeting the minister for some fun. Are you going somewhere tomorrow evening? A. Yes, I am going to the library. I thought I could ask you to come along. Notice the frequent use of the present progressive form in the dialogue above. Here are a few questions for you to answer. First, which period of time does the use of the present progressive tense refer to? Time, which is past time, which is present or future time. Second, are A and B talking about action which they have already planned and arranged to do? 3. Is the arrangement personal or is it official? Bracket, made by someone else who is in a position of authority. Bracket N. Section 2. The present simple for future time reference. Minister, have you drawn up my tour program for the next week? PA, yes sir. You leave for Sambalpur at 7 a.m. on Monday morning. Minister, when do I get there? PA, you reach Sambalpur at 1 p.m. You're halt at Angul for a few minutes on the way. Then after lunch, you meet the commissioner at 3 for a discussion. Minister, where do I stay? In Sambalpur. PA, the guest house at the Hirakud Dam has been reserved for you, sir. The next morning at 8, you proceed to Raulkela. The commissioner accompanies you to Raulkela. Minister, and when do I return to Bhubaneswar? PA, on Thursday, sir. Look at the use of the present simple in the dialogue. What is the time reference here? Past time, present time, or future time? The present simple tense can be used with future time reference to talk about schedule. Section 3. Future time reference with be going to. First, I am sweating already. I think it's going to be very hot today. Second, be careful of that dog. It's going to bite. Third, Mohan is eating too much. He is going to be sick. In the sentences, be going to is used to make a prediction about something that is likely to happen in the near future. The prediction is made on the basis of some indication which is available at the time of speaking. Section 4. Here are some more sentences with be going to. A. First, why have you bought so many books? What are you going to do? B. I am going to read all of them for my project. B. She has decided not to leave the house this year. She is going to stay on for another year. C. First, I am going to buy a scooter. Second, how are you going to pay for it? You don't have enough money. First, I am going to ask my brother to lend me some. Invitation to English 4. Chapter 3. Modal verb. In English language, there are a number of auxiliary verbs that help the main verb to express various language functions. One such group of auxiliary verb is called modal auxiliary or modal in short. They are shall, should, will, would, may, might, can, could, need, dare, must, ought to, used to. Beside this, there are some modal-like expressions such as have or had to be, able to, be about to, etc. Let's see how they are used. Section A. Making request, bracket, using can, could, may, will, would, bracket in. Read this dialogue carefully. First, Suresh, can you lend me your bicycle? Mahesh, of course I am not using it today. Second, student, could I borrow your dictionary, sir? Teacher, certainly, but it's meant only for very advanced learner. Third, Sam, will you open the door, please? Stranger, sure. Fourth, Jatin, would you mind repeating the last sentence, sir? Speaker, not at all. I said that. 5. Gina, may I ask a question, please? Speaker, by all means. 6. Landeli, you will please clean the kitchen. Matt, yes ma'am, right away. Mark the use of can, could, may, will, and would in the sentences above. They are used here to make request, but each of these words is used in a slightly different way from the other. First, can is informal, while could is more formal and polite. Second, may is rather formal. Third, will is used to make request when we don't need to particularly formal or polite. Fourth, would you or would you mind is used when we want to be more polite or formal. Read the sentences again and check whether the modal have been used as described above. Section 2. Asking for and granting permission. Bracket. Using can, could, may, would, bracket in. Look at the examples below. A. Tarun. Can I use your typewriter to type out an application? Friend. Yes, of course you can. B. Tapas. Could I use the telephone? Receptionist. Yes, sir, but this is only for local call. C. Journalist. Mr. Prime Minister, may I ask what you plan to do for unemployed engineers? Prime Minister, new jobs are being created for them. D. Sefali, would you mind if I sit here? Stranger, no, not at all. Can is used in question to ask for permission. It is also used in statement form to grant or give permission to someone. Can is used in informal situation, in speaking to friends or people one knows well. Could is used in formal situation or when the speaker is not sure whether permission will be granted. Could is never used to give permission to someone. May and would you mind are used in question to ask for permission in formal situation, when the speaker is even less sure of getting permission or feels that permission is likely to be refused. The modal may is also used in statement to give permissions. Section 3. Making an offer to help. Bracket. Using will, would, shall, can, could, bracket in. Study the dialogues below. A. Rina. I want to take this bag with me. Chubby. I will carry it for you. Rina. Oh, thanks. B. Tarak. I must leave now. Purna. Shall I get a taxi for you? Tarak. Yes, please. C. Host. Would you like some more chicken? Guest. Yes, please. Thank you. D. Pinaki. Could I buy the ticket for you? Friend's friend. Thank you very much. Will, shall, and can are used in formal English to offer help to someone. Will and shall are commonly abbreviated to I will, we will, etc. Will is used only in statement. Bracket. Example, I will carry your bag. Bracket in. But shall and can are used in question as the last statement. Bracket. Example, shall I carry your bag? Can I carry your bag? Or I shall carry your bag. Or I can carry your bag. Bracket in. Could and would are used in question as well as statement to offer help in more formal situation. Bracket. Example, could I carry your bag? I could carry your bag, or would you? Like me to carry your bag? I would be happy to carry your bag, etc. Section 4. Making a suggestion. Bracket. Using shall, can, could, bracket in. A. Pramod, it's a lovely day. Shall we go for a walk? Prasant, yes, let's do it. B. Nilima, Sisir is becoming more and more difficult to handle. Manisha, we can talk to him if you like. Nilima, no, I will manage without him. C. Girija, we need Seema's room for the guest, but she has gone home. Gauri, we could go to her village tomorrow and collect the key. In the sentences above, different ways of making suggestion have been shown. The commonly used words are shall we, can we, could we, or you can, we could, used together with if you like or want. Section 5. First, expressing ability to do something. Bracket. Using can, be able to, bracket in. Studying the following sentences. A. Interviewer. Can you type? Candidate. Yes, sir. I can also take dictation in shorthand. Interviewer. Will you be able to talk to our foreign client? Candidate. Yes, sir. I can speak German and Italian. B. Teacher. Who can solve this problem? Student. I can. Can is used here to show that someone has the ability to do something. Able to can also be used for this purpose. But can is more usual. Be able to is formal. Second, general ability versus the ability to do something in a particular situation. Look at the following sentences. First, Mohan could speak Assami when he was a boy. Second, when I was in London, I could visit the museum every day. Third, I had only a brief meeting with the principal, but I was able to explain my difficulties to him. In sentence 1, could is used to refer to the general ability to do something that somebody possessed in the past, while in sentence 2, could indicate that the opportunity to do something was available. In sentence 3 was able to indicate the past ability to perform an action in a particular situation. Could is not used in such a context. Section 6. Indicating possibility. Bracket. Using may or can. Bracketing. A. This house is too small. We may sell it and buy a bigger one. B. That box is too heavy for you. You may drop it. C. Camels can survive without water for weeks in the desert. D. Smoking can cause cancer. May is used to express a specific possibility while can is used to express a general possibility. Section 7. Indicating present or future possibility. Bracket. Using may, might, could. Bracket in. Look at the following sentences. A. Where is Madhuri? C. Might or may, could be in the garden. B. There is someone at the gate. It may or might or could be the postman. C. They are not cooking dinner. They may or might, could be planning to go out tonight. May, might, and could are used here to talk about present or future possibility. Might is normally a little less sure than may, and could is less sure than may or might. Note that we can't use can in the above example. Can you say why? Hint. Refer to the difference between can and may. Section 8. Referring to possibility in the past. Bracket. Using may, might, or could. Bracket in. Look at the examples below. A. She was not in the hostel yesterday. She might or could have gone home. B. First, do you think he saw you? Second, now he was too far away. He couldn't have seen me. C. You are stupid to throw stone at the dog. It might have attacked you. We use may or might or could together with some verb in the present perfect form to talk about possibility in the past. Section 9. Making a deduction. Bracket. Using must have or can't have. Bracket in. Look at the following example. The old man has not had anything to eat for the last 2 days. He must be starving. Must is used here to make a deduction, that is, to come to a logical conclusion on the basis of the evidence which is available. The use of must shows that the speaker is quite sure that what he or she says is correct. Can't is negative counterpart of must. The use of can't in this case shows that the speaker is very sure about some negative conclusion which he or she has reached. The use of must have and can't have shows that the speaker has made a deduction about something that happened in the past. For example, first, Ramesh has done very well in the examination. He must have worked really hard. Second, the library was closed all day yesterday. You can't have been there yesterday. Section 10. Offering advice. Bracket. Using should or ought to or had better or be supposed to. Bracket in. A. If your toothache is not getting better, you should see a dentist. B. They really look after you well. You ought to write a letter of thanks. C. Your roommates are complaining. You had better turn the music down. Should and ought to are used to ask for advice or to give advice. Ought to is preferred when the advice is given by someone in authority. Had better indicates a strong recommendation made for a particular situation. Should have and ought to have are used to show that someone did not do something in the past which was desirable. Look at the examples below. I should have brought that book yesterday, but I didn't have the money. Haven't you been to see your doctor? You ought to have seen him yesterday. Section 11. Expressing obligation or necessity. Bracket. Using must, have to, or had to, got it. Bracket in. A. I have got a terrible pain in my back. I must go and see the doctor. B. I have got an appointment. I have to go and see the doctor at 9 tomorrow morning. C. Our teacher had given us 50 problems to work out, so I had to work late yesterday. D. My friend must be waiting for me. I have got to hurry. Must and have to are used to express obligation or necessity. We normally use must when the authority comes from the speaker. Have to is normally used when the authority comes from someone other than the speaker. We use had to when talking about a past obligation or necessity. Have got to is sometimes used instead of have to talk about obligation or necessity in informal situation. Section 12. Expressing prohibition. Bracket. Using must not, need not, don't have to. Bracket in. A. You must not jump over that wall. You will break your legs. B. You must not drive that car. The brakes don't break. C. Tomorrow is a holiday. You needn't get up early. D. They didn't buy the book. They can get it in the library. We use must not to prohibit somebody from doing something. We use needn't. When it is not necessary to do something, study the situation above again to see how these meanings have been expressed. Invitation to English 4, Chapter 4, Prepositions and Phrasal Verb. A preposition is a small word that is used before a noun or noun phrase to express the relationship between things and event. Words such as after, at, below, by, for, from, in, of, over, under, to, with, etc. are called prepositions. Section 1. Some of the examples are: millions of Indian soldiers were killed on the Second World War. Second, it was on the spring of 1985 that my brother and sister-in-law met for the first time. However, they got married only on 1995. Third, at 1950, the cost of living was only a fraction of what it was on 1990. Fourth, they got off at dawn and reached the summit on noon. Next, we didn't want anything to go wrong on our sister's wedding day. Next, I will meet you at 2:30 on Friday, August 2001. Next, I will see you on 6th day time. Birds don't find much to eat on winter. Section 3. Study the use of in, on, and at in the following sentences. First, A. They are not in town, they are on holiday in Darjeeling. B. They heard the news on the radio. C. He has put on weight, he will have to go on a diet. Some useful expressions with on are the following: on business, on a tour, on a cruise, on television, on the phone, on strike, on fire, on the whole, on purpose. Second, A. The old woman did not like sunlight. She preferred to sit in the shade. B. My friend always writes in pencil. Some more expressions within are given below: in the rain, in the sun, in the dark, in bad weather, in ink, in words, in figures, in block letter, in cash. Third, he left school at the age of 14. Some more expressions with art are given below: at a speed, at of temperature, at the rate of, at the height of, etc. Section 4. Study the following sentences. A. He called the stranger by mistake. B. My father always makes payment by check. C. My sister goes to college by bus. D. My friend didn't use his car. He came in a taxi. In A and B, by is used with mistake and check. The following are some of the expressions that usually go with by: by chance, by design, by accident, by letter, by post, by hand, by cable, by telegram, by hat, by day, and by night. In C, by is used with bus, By is generally used to refer to some means of transport. Here are some more examples. By land, by air, by road, by sea, by coach, by train, etc. But by is replaced by in, on, etc. When a noun such as sheep, car, bus, etc. is used along with a determiner such as my, a, the. For example, in my car, on my bicycle, etc. Section 5. Adjective plus preposition. Combination. Certain adjectives are always used in combination with particular preposition. Here are some examples of this adjective plus preposition combination. Of. First, children are afraid of snake. Second, we are proud of being Indian. Third, cats are fond of milk. Some more examples. Frightened of, scared of, full of, ashamed of, jealous of, envious of, suspicious of, aware of, conscious of, capable of, sort of, critical of, tolerant of, independent of, typical of, aware of. About or with. First, we are excited about our sister's wedding tomorrow. Second, my young sister was delighted with the present I gave her. Some more example. Worried about or upset about or nervous about, happy about, annoyed about, furious about, etc. Pleased with, satisfied with, disappointed with, bored with, angry with, etc. Next, at or by. First, my friend is very good at mathematics. Second, everybody was shocked at or by what they heard. Some more example. Bad at, brilliant at, clever at, surprised at or by, hopeless at, astonished at or astonished by, excellent at, amazed at or amazed by. Next, of and to. First, it is so nice or kind of you to visit us. Second, my mother is very nice or kind to the poor. Some more examples. Silly of, stupid of, generous of, good of somebody, cruel to, friendly to, polite to, generous to, good to somebody. Section 6, bracket, verb plus preposition bracket in combinations. Certain verbs are followed by particular preposition. Here are some examples of this verb plus preposition combination. First, at. First, A. Don't point that knife at the child, it's dangerous. B. He spoke in such a manner that everyone laughed at him. Some more verbs used with at. Aim at, wonder at, jump at, hint at, stare at, peck at, glance at, jeer at, look at, and smile at. Next, 4. Second, A. The students are waiting for the teacher to come. B. One should always hope for the best. Some more verb used with for. Apologize for, beg for, care for, charge for, compensate for, cry for, feel for, forgive for, long for, mourn for, send for, strive for, sue for, wish for, and search for. Next, from. Third, A. The speaker digressed from the topic and spoke a lot of nonsense. B. Student will benefit from the new book. Some more verbs used with from. Hide from, abstain from, borrow from, emerge from, derive from, digest from, differ from, digress from, escape from, exclude from, prevent from, recover from, save from, separate from, subtract from, refrain from. Next, in. 4. A. Most people believe in astrology. B. My friend did well in English but failed in mathematics. Some more verbs with in. Abound in, delight in, excel in, increase in, involve in, persist in, succeed in, indulge in. Next, of. 5. A. The students are tired of doing the same task every day. B. Many smokers die of lung cancer. Some more verbs with of. Accuse of, admit of, approve of, beware of, boast of, smell of, complain of, dispose of, dream of, deprive of, suspect of, think of. Next, on. 6. A. Success in life depends on hard work. B. My brother spends a lot on books. Some more verbs with on. Base on, insist on, resolve on, impose on, rely on, decide on, reflect on, congratulate on, operate on, comment on, introduce on, feast on. Next, 2. 7a. Non listen to the chief guest lecture. B. Student contributed a lot to the Indian freedom struggle. Some more verb with to. Add to, adhere to, amount to, aspire to, attain to, belong to, commit to, confine to, conform to, consent to, introduce to, object to, submit to, surrender to, yell to, speak to. Next, with. 8a. Our neighbor always quarrels with children. B. Gandhi never compromised with falsehood. Some more verb with. Coincide with, comply with, cope with, disagree with, fail with, grapple with, interfere with, meddle with, part with, supply with, sympathize with, threaten with, unite with, deal with, overwhelm with, reconcile with. Section 7. Phrasal verbs. The teacher came in. She is now in the classroom. In the second sentence, in is a preposition placed before the noun phrase, the classroom. But in the first sentence, in is a adverbial particle. Many such words like in, on, out, up, down, cover, etc. can function in a sentence either as preposition or adverbial particles. In the following section, we will consider verbs followed by either prepositions or adverbial particles. We call them phrasal verb. Look at the sentences. First, Seema looked up the word in the dictionary. Look the word up. Look it up. Second, please look me up when you visit here next time. Third, we have good rain this year. The situation is looking verb. These two words verbs are called phrasal verb. Sometimes we can have three word phrasal verb. Also, we look forward to your next visit. Invitation to English 4, Chapter 5, the imperative. Look at the sentence below. First, A. Hurry up. B. Stop. Second, A. Be careful. B. Mind your language. Third, borrow the book from your teacher, read the chapter and pick out the main point. The sentence above are all imperatives. Imperative sentences are used for different purposes or function. In sentence 1 and 2 above, they are used to give order, offer, advice or issue a warning, while in third sentence they are used to give instruction. Sentences beginning with let are also imperative, which are used to offer suggestion as in sentence 4 below. 4. A. Let's hire a taxi. B. Let's us go out. There are some of the examples. 1. We are not deaf. We can hear you. Don't shout. Second, that was a beautiful dance class. Sit down on the floor. In karate, we learn to use our hand in a new ways. Bake that brick. 4. Okay, children, it's time to go home. Put away your books. 5. I have burnt my arm. Put some cold water on it. 6. Can you see the snake? Don't touch it. Second, here is a recipe for making an omelette. Put the following verbs in the correct phrases. First, break 2 eggs and beat them in a bowl. Second, heat them up and add salt and pepper to taste. Third, put a little butter or oil in a frying pan. 4. Then pour the mixture in and make sure that the omelette doesn't burn. 5. Turn it over when the omelette is fried. Third, match each of the imperative in column A with its function in column B. First, enjoy yourself. It is a giving direction. Second, come in and make yourself at home. It is a inviting. Third, get a number 7 bus. That's great. It is making a suggestion. 4. Turn right at the traffic light. It is giving an instruction. 5. Open your book at page 20. It is giving direction. 6. Mind the floor, it's slippery. It is an warning. Invitation to English 4. Chapter 6. Interrogatives. The interrogative sentence is a type of sentence which is usually used for asking a question. In such a sentence, the auxiliary verb is normally placed before the subject. Some question words like what, when, where, etc. may also be used in the beginning of such a sentence. There are following sentences into two broad categories and state why you have done so. First, where is my pen? Second, isn't that my pen? Third, why haven't you done your homework? Fourth, how are you? 5, would you like something to eat? 6, what's the time by your watch? 7, are you listening? 8, you have been to Delhi before, haven't you? If you have identified the two major types of interrogative sentences, you have done well. But did you have some doubt about the last one? We can put the question tag in the broad category of yes or no question. Let's see how yes or no question are formed. In statement, it was raining. In question, was it raining? Second, statement, he has seen the film. Question, has he seen the film? Third, you can read my writing. Question, can you read my writing? 4, he has been waiting for a long time. Question, has been waiting for a long time? 5, the bus stops here. Question, does the bus stops here? 6, they boarded the bus. Question, did they board the bus? The basic rule for asking most questions is very simple. You have to change the order of the subject and the first auxiliary verb. If there is no auxiliary, a suitable do verb can take place of the auxiliary. Look at the examples. It was raining. In question, was it raining? The bus stops here. Does the bus stops here? Now let's see what question are formed. Statement, Ramesh told me the secret. Who told you the secret? Ramesh told me the secret. Question, what does Ramesh tell you? Statement, you can contact me over phone. Question, how can I contact you? I want to go home as my mother is ill. Why do you want to go home? We use a WH word to ask for specific information about who, what, how, when, why, where, how much, how many, etc. The basic order of words in WH question is WH word plus verb plus object as in. Who told you? Sometimes we use another pattern like the following. WH word plus auxiliary plus subject plus verb as in. What did he tell you in the party yesterday? Invitation to English 4. Chapter 7. Verb patterns. Section 1. What is the verb pattern? Look at the following sentences. First, my brothers avoid meeting stranger. Second, my parents love entertaining friend. Third, the boys keep asking for sweet. In each of these sentences there is a finite verb which is followed immediately by another verb in its ing form. These three sentences have the same verb pattern. The term verb pattern is used to describe the part of the sentence which follows the finite verb. Let us see what happens when we choose a different verb, hope. We can say, 4. My brother hopes to meet the governor, but we cannot say, 5. My brother hopes meeting the governor. The asterisk symbol used in front of sentence indicate that the sentence is not grammatically correct. The verb hope cannot be followed by another verb in the ing form, but it can be followed by a verb in the infinitive form used with to. As in sentence 4, we say therefore that the verb hope selects a different verb pattern from the verbs avoid, love and keep. As we shall see, different verbs select different pattern. We can use a kind of shorthand to show which verb pattern are possible with a certain verb. For example, the verb pattern in sentence 1, 2 and 3 can be shown as VING bracket, which means that the finite verb is followed by some other verb in the ing form bracketing. We can show this as avoid, love, keep is VING. This means the verbs avoid, love and keep can be followed by another verb in the ing form. The verb hope doesn't fit into this pattern, but it fits into a different pattern which we can represent as. Hope is V2 plus infinitive. This means the verb hope can be followed by another verb in its infinitive form, used with to, bracketing. Here are a few more sentences in which different verb patterns have been used. 6. I find eating ice cream a great temptation. 7. I find the boys eating ice cream every day. 8. I find that the boys are eating ice cream every day. In each of the sentences, the finite verb is find. What are the verb patterns into which this verb can fit? Sentence 6 has the pattern VING. In sentence 7, the verb find is followed by a noun phrase, bracket, the boys, bracket in, which is then followed by a second verb in the ing form. This pattern can be shown by NP plus VING. Notice that both sentences 6 and 7 contain VING. The difference is that in sentence 7 there is a noun phrase between the two verbs. The presence of a noun phrase after the verb find is not compulsory, it is optional. Bracket. In other words, a noun phrase may or may not be present in a sentence between the verb find and the following verb eating. We show the optional elements in a verb pattern by putting them in brackets. The verb pattern, which is common to sentence 6 and 7, therefore, can be shown as NPVING. Now look at the sentence 8. Here are the verb find is followed by a subordinate noun clause beginning with the word that, bracket, that the boys are eating ice cream every day, bracket in. Sentence 8 has a different verb pattern which is so simply as that clause. The three different verb patterns into which the verb find can fit may be shown as follows. Find, first VING, second NPVING, third that clause. Bracket. This means the verb find can be followed by a verb in the ing form or a noun phrase followed by a verb in the ing form, or it can be followed by a that clause. Bracket n. It is very important to know which verb patterns a particular verb can select, as many of the common grammatical errors made by the learners of English are caused by the use of wrong verb pattern. A good learner's dictionary of English, such as the Oxford Advanced Learner Dictionary, will tell you which verb pattern are possible with each verb, and you should learn how to use the dictionary to get this information. Section 2. Notice the verb patterns used in the following sentences. A. My brother prefers to write long letter. B. My brother prefers writing long letter. The verb prefer takes both the VING and the V to infinite pattern with no difference in meaning. A list of some such verb is given below. Begin, continue, intend, propose, bother, like, love, start, head. But with some verb, the meaning changes when we shift from the VING to the V2 infinitive pattern. Look at the following examples. A. He forgot to buy the ticket. Bracket. He didn't buy the ticket. B. He forgot buying the ticket. Bracket. He bought the ticket and then forgot about it. Bracket n. Verbs such as remember, forget, regret, see, hear belong to this class. Section 3. Look at some examples. A. The old man was funny. He made everybody laugh. B. The boy is very naughty. He won't let his mother work in the kitchen. The verbs in the second sentence in each pair are followed by infinitive without to. Notice that with the verb let, there is a noun phrase used before the infinitive work. The pattern here, make let, is NP, V infinitive. Other verbs which belong to this class are see, hear, feel, had better, would rather. Invitation to English 4, Chapter 8, The Passive, Section 1. You must have learned from your study of English grammar in high school that sentences can neither be in the active voice or in the passive voice. You may also have learned that a sentence in the active voice can be changed into the passive voice by following certain rules. For example, a fat boy ate the ice cream. Active voice can be changed to B. The ice cream was eaten by a fat boy. This is passive voice. The rules that are followed in changing an active sentence into passive form are: first, the object in the active sentence A is made the subject in the passive sentence B. In active voice, the object, as you know, comes after the verb, whereas the subject comes before the verb. In sentence A, which is active, ice cream is the object. So we move it to the front in sentence and it now becomes the subject. Bracket. If you want to change an active sentence into a passive one, you must first make sure that it has an object. Second, the verb in the active sentence ate is changed into the passive form was eaten. The passive form contains a helping verb, which is some verb of the verb be. Bracket. The forms of be are is, are, was, were, been, being, bracketing. The helping verb is followed by the particle form of the verb in the active sentence. Bracket. Eaten. Bracketing. It is the form of the verb which tells us most clearly whether the sentence is active or passive. Any sentence in which you find be, bracket, in one of its form, bracket n, followed by a particle is likely to be a passive sentence, although there can be some exceptions to the rule. Third, the subject of the active sentence, bracket, boy, in this case, bracket n, is taken to the end of the passive sentence and the preposition by is introduced before this word. Section 2. When do we use the passive? The rules for changing an active sentence into the passive voice are reliable up to a point. However, it is wrong to think that every active sentence can be changed into the passive form. The passive voice is used in special situations in which it would not be appropriate to use the active voice. It is important to know what the situations are. What the subject of the sentence does. We said above that the first rule for changing an active sentence into its passive form is to make the object of the active sentence the subject of the passive sentence. But why do we do this? Every sentence must have a subject, which comes at or near the beginning of the sentence before the verb. The subject in the following sentence are printed in the bold letter. Each sentence also contains an object which is printed in italic. First, the boy fed the lions in the zoo. Second, the kind old gentleman gave the blind beggar 10 rupees. Third, Bhima killed Dusasana in a fight. Fourth, the cyclone destroyed 2000 villagers. The subject in each of the sentences has two functions. A. It introduces the topic that the speaker is going to talk about. Bracket. When we hear the opening words of sentence, first, the boys, we know that the speaker is going to tell us something about the boys. The rest of the sentence tells us what the speaker has to say on this topic. Bracket in. B. The subject also refers to the person or the thing that performs the action indicated by the verb. In other words, the subject is the doer of the action or the agent that performs the action. What about the object? The object refers to the person or thing on which some action is performed by the agent. Bracket, subject, bracket n. Notice what happens when we change an active sentence into passive one. For example, A. The police arrested the chief. Bracket, active, bracket n. B. The chief was arrested by the policeman. Bracket, passive, bracket n. In the active sentence, the subject represents the agent, the action as well as the topic of the sentence. Here the speaker seems to be interested mainly in the policeman and what the policeman did. But in the passive sentence, the agent is no longer the subject or the topic. Instead, thief becomes the topic. The speaker seems to be more interested now in the thief and what happened to him rather than in the policeman who is pushed to the background. So, when we turn an active sentence into passive form, the effect is to turn the spotlight away from the agent. The passive is used when we are more interested in the action that is performed than in the agent that performs the action. This can happen in the following situation. A. When the speaker doesn't know the identity of the agent or is not sure of it, my bicycle has been stolen. B. When it is not necessary to mention the agent because it is obvious who the agent is. The accused was tried in court and sentenced to prison. C. When the speaker doesn't want to mention the agent, for some reason, I have been cheated. D. When the speaker doesn't wish to offer a personal opinion but wants to sound formal and objective. It is believed that no life exists on the planet Mars. The agent is not mentioned in the majority of passive sentence. However, the agent must be mentioned, bracket, together with the preposition by, bracket in the following context. A. When the agent is an important person, an inventor, an artist, a writer, a famous personality. Chandrabhaga was written by Radhanath Rai. The new bridge will be opened by the Chief Minister. The radio was invented by Marconi. B. When the agent is someone or something that is unexpected. All work in this factory is done by robots. The man was killed by a tiger. Section 3. The uses of the passive. Passive sentences are more commonly used in writing than in speech. The use of the passive is particularly common in scientific and technical writing. Example, reports on experiments, descriptions of scientific processes, etc. Passives are also frequently used in official documents where rules and regulations are laid down. Here are some examples. First, payment can be made at any bank. Second, the liquid is heated to boiling point. Third, all lights are switched off at 11 p.m. 4. Sensitive data should not be fed into this computer. 5. Sugar is exported to Japan. Invitation to English 4. Chapter 9. Conditionals. Section 1. A conditional sentence is one that lays down a condition, that is, it tells you that a certain action will be performed only if a certain condition is fulfilled. For example, first, I will pardon you if you admit your mistake. The sentence contains two clauses, a main clause, which tells us about the action to be performed, and a subordinate clause, bracket, joined to the main clause by the conjunction if, bracket in, which tells us about the condition to be fulfilled, bracket. The subordinate clause is also called the if clause or the conditional clause, bracket in. The conjunction if is used in most conditional sentences and it clearly signals that a condition is being laid down. However, a condition can also be signaled without the use of if. For example, second, admit your mistake and I will pardon you. Types of conditional. A. Open condition. First, if you send the money today, he will get it tomorrow. The if clause here refers to a possible future action. It leaves open the question of whether the action will be carried out or not. Therefore, it is called an open condition. Notice that the verb in the if clause is in the simple present form, while the verb in the main clause contains the modal verb, while indicating future time. But notice the form of the following sentences. Second, if you look after my luggage, I will go to the booking counter and buy the ticket. Here, both clauses contain the modal verb will, which is unusual. However, the sentence is more a request than a condition. Variations. Study the following sentences which are the examples of open conditional, but with a difference. Third, if it's a holiday tomorrow, we may go for a swim. Bracket, will is replaced by may. Bracket in. 4. If I should see him, I will ask him to write. Bracket, the modal should used in the if clause suggests that the condition may not be fulfilled. Bracket in. 5. Stop borrowing money or you will be in trouble. Bracket, if you don't stop borrowing money, you will be in trouble. Bracket in. When the imperative is used in the place of an if clause, the condition changes into a threat, request, etc. Sometimes the if clause and the main clause both take present tense to express a truth. For example, 6. Oil flows if you pour it on water. 7. Give my love to Mr. Das if you see him. B. Hypothetical or unreal condition. If I became the chief minister, I would put things right at once. Notice that both the clauses contains verbs in the past tense form. Bracket, became and would. The past tense form say become and will. Bracket N. The use of the past tense has the effect of making the condition unlikely. That is why the condition is said to be hypothetical or unreal. Bracket. It is understood that the speaker is not very likely to become the chief minister. Bracket N. Compare this with, if I become the chief minister, I will put things right at once. Here, because of the use of the present tense, the possibility of the speaker becoming the chief minister appears more open or likely. The subjunctive. Hypothetical conditions are sometimes expressed by the use of the subjunctive mode. Compare the two sentences below. 8. If I were you, I would take my work more seriously. 9. If I was you, I would take my work more seriously. You might think that the first sentence is incorrect since the verb were, being in the plural form, doesn't agree with the singular subject I. However, this particular use of the plural form of the verb in the past tense, which is known as the subjunctive, is allowed by the grammar of English to express unreal or hypothetical condition. In modern English, the use of the subjunctive is not used commonly. Most people would prefer now to use 10. If I was you, bracket, instead of if I were you, bracket in. C. Unfulfilled condition. Look at this sentence. If you had asked me for the money, I would have given it to you. Notice that the main clause contains would together with have given. Bracket. The present perfect form of the verb give, bracket in. The if clause contains had asked, which is the past perfect form of ask. The use of this verb tells us that the action was not performed because the condition was not fulfilled. The same meaning is expressed in the first clause below without the use of if. Had you asked me for money, I would have given it to you. The unfulfilled condition is often used to comment on or to express regret for something that did not happen. Invitation to English 4, Chapter 10, Direct and Reported Speech, Section 1, Revision. When we want to report what someone says, we can use either direct speech, repeating the exact word that the speaker used, or reported speech. For example, Somesh, I get bored very easily. In direct speech, we repeat the exact words the Somesh uses. We put them within quotation mark when we write those words. Somesh said, I get bored very easily. In reported speech, we do not repeat the exact word of the speaker. We change some of the words given only the meaning of what was said. Quotation marked are not used now. Somesh said that he got bored very easily. Notice that here we have changed I to he. We have also changed the tense of the verb used by the speaker. You also add that after said. Section 2. Changes in the form of reported speech. Reported statement. A. Change in tense. When the reporting verb, bracket, said, replied, answered, asked, etc., bracket n, is in the past tense, the tense of the verbs that follow, bracket, and the sentence being reported, bracket n, is normally pushed back. Present tense becomes past tense. I meet my teacher every day becomes he said that he met his teacher every day. Present progressive becomes past progressive. He is going home because he said he was going home. Present perfect becomes past perfect. Roma has finished her work becomes she said Roma had finished her work. Past tense becomes past perfect but may remain in the past tense. She stole my book become he said he had stolen his book. But the following is also possible. He said that he stole his book. Past perfect remains unchanged. The president had read the report already. Is reported also as he said the president had read the report already. Present relevance. Usually a speaker's words are reported sometime after they have been spoken. The gap between the speaking and the reporting may be short or long. If the words spoken by the speaker remain valid at the time of reporting, it is possible to leave the tense of the verb unchanged. For example, Sheila is coming this evening may be reported as he said Sheila is coming this evening in case the reporting is done by the same day after a very short gap. However, it is also possible to change the tense, following the usual rules of reported speech, to he said that Sheila was coming this evening. But if the reporting is done a day later, the words will have to change to, he said that Sheila was coming that evening. The following sentence, I like fish, may be reported either as, Ramesh said that he likes fish, bracket, because the words are still true at the time of reporting, bracket in, or as Ramesh said that he liked fish. B. Change in adverbials of times and place. Times expression, such as today, yesterday, tomorrow, this morning, etc., and place expressions such as here, there, etc., may require to be changed in reported speech, depending on the context. Look at the following examples. I have asked Ramesh to come here today. Changes to, he said that he had asked Ramesh to come there that day. Bracket, he changes to there and today to that day. Bracket in. But if the reporting takes place the same day at the same place, the sentence can be reported as, he said that he has asked Ramesh to come here today. Usually, however, the following changes would take place in reported speech. Speaker's word here, reported speech there. Speaker's words this, reported speech that or the. Speaker's words now, reported speech then. Speaker's words today, reported speech that day. Speaker's words tonight, reported speech that night. Speaker's words tomorrow, reported speech will be the next day or the following day. Yesterday, speaker's word, reported speech the day before or the previous day. Speaker's words next Monday, reported speech the following Monday. Last Monday, speaker's word, reported speech the previous Monday. Examples: he will see you tomorrow becomes he said he would see you the next day. They are here on an official visit becomes he said they were there on an official visit. Reported questions. When reporting a question, we use verbs such as asked, inquired, wanted to, know, etc. A. Reporting WH questions. First, teacher, when did you meet Sobha? Becomes the teacher asked Bimal when he had met Sobha. Second, Prem to Sudhir, when can I get the book? Becomes Prem asked Sudhir where he could get the book. Third, Smita, how can I leave the place? It becomes Smita inquired how she could leave the place. B. Reporting yes or no question. First, Bhupen, may I go out, teacher? Becomes Bhupen asked the teacher if or whether he could go out. Second, Mother, has Ramesh arrived yet? Becomes Mother wanted to know if or whether Ramesh had arrived. C. Reporting request, offers, etc. First, Sita, please move the table. Sita requested Meena to move the table. Second, Uma, could you please write the report for Miss Sudha? Uma requested Sudha to write the report for her. Third, the old man to children, stay away from me. The old man warned the children to stay away from him. Four, we will pay for the book. We said, we offered to pay for the book. 5. Ramesh, would you like to have lunch with me? Ramesh invited me to have lunch with him. 6. Mohan, I will hit you. Mohan threatened to hit me.